We really consider many of you on here, I do know some I may not know as well, but we consider you all family. I mean, this organization has been around 22 years and it couldn't have been without the support of all of you. And, we've got former board members and now steering committee members and teams on here, and some staff are on here as well. So thank you all for being on here. It was mentioned earlier by Carrie about it being cold in the fall season, right? So we're really experiencing a fall here, unlike I think we normally get. And it kind of got me thinking, when I think about fall, there's us ahead. And so part of that is we have way more children, that need our help than we can support. I've said that to many of you who I've met individually, and you've known that for years. I mean, we just continue to get, I think, calls every week where people need us. But I don't think it has to be that way. And I think we have to try to do our best to reach any child who may need us. And that's really what the staff and the board has been thinking a lot about. And so over the next 2 years, the board and staff kind of finalized with some input from many of you. We sent out surveys and stuff, ways that we're going to strengthen our programs and we're going to do it based on the needs of the schools and the agencies, and what that looks like. We're going to figure that out over the next 2 years, but we believe kids, deserve to be met potentially in ways that they are learning. How does video incorporate into this? How do we bring today how they're learning in the world with the way we want to be able to teach it with these amazing pets? And so we're going to look at all of that. And we also are going to find ways, I mentioned this before, to partner with other nonprofits who are also working on the social and emotional well-being of children. If you haven't heard this yet or seen my communications, the U.S. Surgeon General right now has called another pandemic is happening, and it is this mental health crisis among children. In fact, Arizona has gone down. We were 41st out of 50, which is not good anyway, but now we're 44. So the fact that we're going down and backwards is not a good thing. And a lot of that is driven by teen deaths, child like 13 to 17-year-olds, more around gun violence, committing suicide. So it's really a crisis time for kids today. And, we think that that's going to take many ways to support children. And so all of that's exciting. We're excited about strengthening our programs, figuring out who's out there that's doing work like ours. They may not be doing it with pets, but they're doing similar work around that social, emotional learning of kids. And how do we come together and partner? Because we're not the only solution. We are a part of the solution, but we should be right in there with all these agencies that are working with kids to help heal them and help them. However, and we want to expand statewide. That's going to come after 2 years. So after 2 years, I've talked to many of you that's been a goal to expand statewide. We are really setting a foundation over the next 2 years to ensure the programs we are doing make sense, and that we as an organization can move forward to actually meet where any kid needs us. And that, includes statewide, whether it's a child in Yuma or a child in Flagstaff. And we also know, and because some of you on here who are teams, that there are volunteers in every community who are looking for an organization like ours to do good with their pets. So we're going to have ask of all of you, who do you know in the rest of the state who would love to be able to do this work? Because the other thing we've learned is, not having enough teams is never going to get us to be able to serve the kids we need to serve. So we're going to think about how we do that. The first thing we did, though, the news that we wanted to share is really to accomplish our goals. We had to look at our mission. At the heart of this, why do we exist and why are we here? As many of you who have been involved in the organization know, that at some point, I think the mission has always evolved and changed, and that continues to be what we take a look at first. And as we've looked at over the last year and a half, if you don't know, it's been inspire confidence, compassion, and best behaviors in at-risk children through pet therapy. And while that's great, and we are always going to be focused around how do we ensure that kids can develop as healthy adults, we really want to energize and inspire our community to really evolve how we're doing our work and to state that first in the mission statement. So I know that Tina's going to put this up here, but we have, as the board and the staff, we've approved a new mission. So that's why we're on a mission. And it's really through the life-changing power of pet therapy. Gabriel's Angels enhances the social and emotional development of vulnerable children. And I would say vulnerable children anywhere in Arizona as we move forward to our longer term mission. So that's the exciting news of the first step. As an organization, the board is going to sit down and take a look at a long-term vision. So although we have a 2-year roadmap, really to be sustainable, what does the next 10 years look like? And how do we every 2 years take a look at, are we getting closer to what our long-term vision is? That'll probably come with down the road in the next year or so that we'll be able to share with all of you. But we wanted you all, hopefully as part of, again, our inner circle, to feel really, I hope, inspired about us, thinking about our work, but really delivering in a way that we can get others to support and help our work. And know that the programs that we serve already, those agencies, those schools, understand that we're plugging in with them as they think about the kids' social and emotional development. So many schools, and even I've learned Boys and Girls Club, they want counselors in the Boys and Girls Club branches. Schools want counselors or, folks to sit alongside those children who really are struggling, because you can't get a child to learn until you really get them focused around their social and emotional well-being. And so we would like to do more of that. We've been trying things with our teams, and I know some of our teams who are on might have been doing it, but we're asking teams to do an extra 30, we're calling. So when they go, say, to ABC program and sit with a kid, or go to the group program and are working with 8 to 10 kids, take an extra 30 minutes and walk around the halls or go into a specific classroom. And many of them are doing it, and the schools want it and they need us. And so we're thankful that we can serve more kids just by doing that extra 30. And so that is the path we're on. I wanted to share that with all of you. Like I said, I didn't want to take a lot of time. If anybody has specific questions, I would love to hear them. And I want you to get involved. So if you see in this that you want to do more or figure it out, please let us know. We would love to have you help us. Any questions? Yes, Carrie.
So doing the extra 30, is that something that I can just go to my counselor, my principal that I work with at the school, and just say, hey, when I'm done, I'm totally willing to stay for a while. What could you set up each week?
Yep, absolutely.
So I don't really need to go to you guys and have you, I can just do it directly.
You can, but I would have Michelle just make sure Michelle's in the know. I know she sent emails on that to ensure that people knew that that's a request that we would love to ask. But yes, absolutely. I mean, we're finding, and George, you're, in the programs area. I think some of your teams have done it as well. Have some of your teams been taking the extra 30? Not as much in Tucson. George is our Tucson program manager. Oh, you're on mute.
Karen's thinking about it, but her dog, she's not sure if her dog is ready to go and meet more dogs. She kind of chose ABC because it's lower energy. So it's not for every dog. You're certainly not required to do it, but some dogs are like, yes, give me more kids to pet me. We're just in fewer schools down here. Once Janet gets started, she's welcome to go visit extra kids if she wants, but
well, the other thing I was remiss in mentioning, outside of the extra 30, we kind of looked at our programs. And one of the things we're going to be doing is those teams who really want to be delivered a curriculum that we can develop around these core behaviors and make it super easy for them. They don't even have to think about what activity am I going to do this week? How do I pull activities? There's still room for that. But we also know some people are just like, great, you have it all right here. Give it to me. I'll do 10 weeks and I'll take each week and talk about, a different core behavior. We'd like to get there as well. But we're also doing what we call community support visits, because we know some teams can't dedicate the weekly like ABC or the every other week. So for example, Chandler High School already this year has seen 4 suicides, and we have a team, he's been around with us for quite a long time. And when he has time and can give time, he just will show up at Chandler during their lunch hours and is just there amongst the kids. And, we've even heard anecdotal, feedback and stories about a kid who was, exhibited anger and was, very ill behaved when that dog comes in the room, has just been amazing and really attached to that dog. So even as simple things of when someone needs us for a moment in time because those kids are having a crisis, we want to be able to support and help. Again, the teams we have right now have stepped up and done it, but others who may find that's a better volunteer opportunity for them, we'd like for them to do more of that for us. Any other questions?
Melissa, there is a question in the chat box from Jan. She said, what is the measurement that you mentioned about Arizona going from 41 to 40?
Oh, yes, thank you. And we could send it out maybe as a follow-up, but the Arizona Kids Count, so the Annie E. Casey Foundation on a yearly basis gathers data on child well-being across the United States. And there's an interactive map on that Annie E. Casey Kids Count data link that you can go into Arizona and specifically see they all rank and look at the same 6 criteria, but how each state ranks in those based on data that they pull is how a state is ranked overall. So that's where we went from 41 to 44. And the biggest differentiator is the fact that the child and teen deaths number has gone up. In fact, we are more than the national average. And the whole, we'll send the Kids Count data book. It's like 50 pages. If you want to take a look, it's got some good information, but it really speaks, especially in the first like 5 pages, to this whole mental health pandemic and how it even really started pre-COVID. And I think those of you in the programs already see it, know it. I know some of you doing ABC have seen kids are even more behind in their reading, and we've been trying to figure that out. So that's the kind of stuff we want to really support our schools and our agencies on. How do we really help them, figure this out, because we're not going to all, do this alone. So.
Melissa, could I make a comment? I think I'd like to applaud what you guys are doing. We are not living in a static situation. I mean, it's very dynamic. I am around a lot of kids that I would not call at-risk kids and see, because of COVID, some delays in socialization and so forth. Multiply that by whatever factor to apply to at-risk kids, and the work we're doing is more critical than ever before.
Absolutely.
So I applaud the changes, the ramping up of activity, the ramping up of the sense of urgency. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, thank you. And we need all of you to be our ambassadors. I mean, you're here for a reason. You're a part of it. Share it, whether it's telling someone about the opportunity to join us. And there's different ways you can do that. But really, we need more people to go along with us. So yeah, that'd be great. Any other?
That's a really good segue, Melissa, if I may real quick, just mention that this also is the preimpetus of the We're on a Mission campaign, which is the name of our end of year campampain, which will be hitting
It's about 15 minutes away.
next week. Oh, sorry. I muted her. Sorry. So it's going to be hitting mailboxes next week, and you'll also be getting an email. But it will incorporate different opportunities for you to engage and share with your friends and family on how to support what we're doing. And to your point, George, helping us to be able to continue to grow our programs. And obviously we can't do that without resources. So we need all of your help to spread the word. And we are participating in the Giving Tuesday campaign, which is an International Day of Giving online. And so we'll have really easy templates that you can just cut and paste. We'll also be including our impact report with the mailing so that you can share the good work that we did last year, and we're trying to help an additional 400 more children this year, which ends up being about $1 a day. So it's $365 to help a child in a year. That equates to $1 a day. So when you really think about it, it's really not a lot to really invest in these kids that are needing our assistance. So
Yeah, I think that's a really good nugget for everybody, is just, to serve 400 more kids for this year, the total of all those kids, it's going to cost someone $1 a day, invest, actually, I shouldn't even say cost, it's invest kid for $1 a day. Yes.
And this meeting wasn't to ask you guys for money. We're just sharing that this is the kind of the launch of that campaign. So just know that.
Just a quick question about, getting volunteers, and I talk it up like constantly wherever I am. I live in Anthem in a country club. There's a lot of retired people. They walk with their dogs. I go to the dog park. My question for you is, does Gabriel's Angels now have some type of a card, handout, anything that I can give to these people instead of just talk? And I give most of them Carmel's card,
Yes.
but I want something. And so what did you just show me, Tina?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, you're on mute, Tina.
Sorry. We just got these. Monica did these beautiful cards that we just ordered several of them that are easy handouts with a QR code and a little bit of information.
Because I mean, another thing, I would like to be able to give them to my vet office for people to walk in, give them to some of the rescues around here to put in their folders. When a person rescues a puppy or a dog, you get a folder. And to have that as part of it, saying, oh, I have this new dog. Wow, I can do this. I didn't used to even know about pet therapy. So, doing all those things, but that's the first step. I need those handouts.
Yeah, we'll get those. And, it takes this kind of army. I say this is another branch of the service almost, right? We need these pets to do good and be this, kind of army of, pets that are going into schools and agencies and really serving these kids, and any way we can get them.
Well, and one response that I get from people that I dislike, they say that it's too much work to become a volunteer. Well, there is, first you have to have your dog, you and your dog certified, and that's not through Gabriel's Angels. That'll be Pet Partners or Alliance of Therapy Dogs. And yeah, it's a process, and you have to do a background check, and you have to, but in my way of thinking, those aren't the people that we want on board anyway, because they aren't going to commit. So yes, it's a commitment. And I always try to tell that to people. It's worth it in the end, but yes, it's a lot to get going.
Well, and Carrie, to your point, volunteering may not be for everybody, but that's why we have different channels that people can support us. Some people, if they make a donation, that may be all they can do, but it helps us tremendously. So, there's many different ways that people can get involved with us. And I get that some people may not have the time. So
yeah. So those cards, I want some of those. Those are all. I'll have to go pick them.
And Lisa made a good point, because we do try to go to places where we know that, it's all about the dog. So this weekend is Petapalooza down at the Scottsdale waterfront. We have a booth down there for 2 days. We were up at Greyhawk this past Sunday, and we had a lot of inquiries, a lot of people asking. So we'll have
good.
There. Yeah. We got to get it out in different ways. People are going to hear it different ways. They're going to respond. We as a staff, though, always try to continue to think about, can we make this process? I know we can't make it from the getting the dog, registered and certified, but how do we help in that in any way? Like, is there anything we can do in that? And that's something we always think about and want to help, because we know that can be like oh, what do I have to do? Everybody stops by and asks, and they're like, what do I need to do next? They're great with kids. What do I need to do? And it's like, how do you, summarize that in a way that they get, the steps?
Well, and I basically, tell people, because I actually have cards that were made for Carmel that are from Alliance of Therapy Dogs, because some of the work I do, particularly in the summer, when we go back to Minnesota, we just do it on our own. So we do it actually for Alliance of Therapy Dogs. So I direct them to their website, and I say, if you are really want to do this with your dog, here's step one. It's easy. It really is. It takes a little time, but it's simple. So go on their site first. Then I've also talked to people who love dogs, might not have an appropriate dog, but they would like to get involved. So I know Gabriel's Angels does have volunteers that don't necessarily have a dog, that work in other capacities without a dog. So I try to direct people to you for that. So having something to hand out to them would just be amazing. Yeah.
Right. It's always available. Yes, Lisa.
I just want to clarify, I work with a couple of other nonprofits that certify the therapy dogs themselves. Gabriel's Angels still requires pet partners or Alliance of Therapy Dogs and a DPS card, correct?
Correct. We've talked a little bit about the DPS card, that it's more of a school thing we've learned, because we had a really good conversation with Boys and Girls Club, who has gotten away from that. They do some kind of background check, but they don't do that. But we've learned, I think, schools, and we're still looking into that. But I think if you go into a school, it's what a school requires. So, but yes, you're correct. Yeah. Well, we hope today, we took more than the 20 minutes, but we hope you have a little energy from this, which is the hope. We're going to be, sharing it. You're going to see it in our messages. The mission's going to go out here as we embark on this campaign. But, it's really an opportunity for us to just be, as I said, at the center. And how do we lead that as an organization? But how do we also do it with others who are also out there trying to figure out how do we help these kids? And I think we can all do it together and do it in a really impactful way. So we'll share more as that continues. But thank you all. If you have questions, I'm always available. I think our links are on the website in the bio page. You can email easily to any one of us. So, or call. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.